Logan Square. Alright, yeah, I guess this story is kind of gonna be dark too. I'm sorry, Butcher. This story is simply titled "Bad Acid Trip." And before I continue on with the rest of the story, I'd like to thank all other storytellers for coming up here, man. Especially our door guy Jose. You know, like a lot of times we might have stereotypes in our head, and to be honest with you, I had a stereotype. It's a door guy. You know, he doesn't have any stories. Hearing him come here a couple of times and telling the story that he had has really opened the door and kind of took the gloves off. So now we're all kind of just bare. This story, like again, is simply called Bad Acid Trip, and you guys gotta excuse me, I'm a little bit tipsy, but it started off like this. Like I first took this hit of acid. And the acid was dope, man. I loved it. I was tripping, I was seeing shit, and things were bubbling, and I saw hallucinations, and it was the greatest feeling in the world, man. And then I had these acid trips, and I was like, I went back to the dealer, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy 3 more, man, just to have them, just to save them, just in case, you know, you never know. So I saved these acid trips, and I never had really a chance to do them, and I saved them for a very, very long time. And so one day I'm like, man, I wonder if these acid trips still work anymore. It's been a few months, they've been in the fridge. I wasn't too, knowledge and drug culture. So I was like, well, hopefully these acid trips are still good. I was like, well, let me try it. And I'm by myself. It's like maybe 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday or a Friday or something. And I'm chilling, I'm kicking it. And I was like, you know what, even if they are still potent, like they won't be potent enough where that I'll flip out or that I'm tripping by myself, right? I'm like, fuck it, not a big deal. So I go to my fridge, I open up the acid tab, and I take it. And I'm like, all right, okay, everything's chilling. 45 minutes pass by, and I got this big-ass poster of Che Guevara. And Che Guevara, with his mustache and his goatee, and the background is red. And about 45 minutes pass, and after maybe a few games of Tetris, I'm looking at this poster, and I see Che Guevara's face start turning. And I'm like, oh shit, man, I think I'm gonna start tripping. Like, this is a lot more potent than I thought it was gonna be. And so Che Guevara's face starts turning, and the whole room starts spinning, and I got this psychedelic couch, and it starts bubbling up, and I'm like, fuck, I'm tripping. Like, this is not supposed to happen. I thought this wasn't gonna be potent. Like, what am I gonna do now? You know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay, well, you know what? I gotta get out of here, because if not, and I live in this tiny little studio, and I'm like, I gotta get out of here, because if I don't get out of here, I'm gonna go fucking crazy. So I get up, I leave, and I decide, you know what, what's tonight? Saturday night, I want to go to the Note. So I go to this dive bar on Milwaukee, North Avenue in Damon called the Note. And those of you who are not familiar with the Note, it's a pretty dark place, and dark in the sense that it's actually dark. Like, they don't pay the light bills. I don't know what the fuck's up with them, but it's pretty dark in there. But they play really good hip hop, And I decided that, like, before I go, I need something to calm me down. So I decided to roll myself a little blunt. Because for some reason, marijuana is always a great co-drug. Like, whatever you do, marijuana is always a great drug to, like, bring you back. Ecstasy, yeah, you smoke a little bit of weed. Acid, weed. Shrooms, weed. I better stop talking for FBI comes in, right? So I roll up some weed, I roll up a blunt, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna hit this shit. So I'm walking up and down the alley, near by the Note, and I'm hitting this blunt, and I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna calm down. And I walk inside the Note, and I don't know what the fuck I was tripping on, but I don't know, well, acid actually, but I don't know why was it that I decided that if the best idea for me to do would be to go to this bar on a packed Saturday night, peeking, and just got done smoking a blunt. So I'm like, shit, whatever. I go into the Note, I sit down, the bartender's like, can I get you something? And I'm like, just water. And then, I don't know, with acid, like, I feel like I just open up to people. So I go to the bartender like, I'm fucking tripping balls. And then she's like, oh, that's cool. More water, right? Hooks up with more water. And it's like, I feel your pain. I understand. And I'm like, I'm tripping balls, man. And like, I got this whole smile on my face. My eyes are all like dilated or tweaked out and shit. And I'm happy, but I know it's a bad trip. And I'm like nervous and shit. And I'm like, I'm tripping balls, Like, if anybody ever come and talk, a cop would have came up and said, hey, are you okay? I'm like, I'm tripping balls, So, there's these girls. And like, I'm saying I'm not a nice guy necessarily, but I don't come an old-fashioned dude, and I'm sitting on the stool, and these girls are, they're bumping, they keep on bumping against me, so I'm like, hey, miss, would you like, to have a seat, so I go ahead and I give her a seat, and from what I remember, from a little bit of my rationale, she was looking good, like, she was pretty shapely, but like, for some reason, she sat down, and she turned around and said, thank you, me tripping on acid, but I really didn't know I was tripping on acid. Her face was like melting, and it was just like the eyeballs coming down here, the lip was coming, she's like, thank you. And I'm just like, I'm looking at her like, oh shit, And I walk away. And I'm just like, oh, I gotta go. I gotta get the fuck out of here, man. I don't know what the fuck is going on. So I leave, and I'm on North Avenue, and I was like, you know what? I'm tripping on acid. I gotta realize this, you kind of come to your like epiphany of acid, your center, and you're just like, I realize that I'm tripping on acid. I must do something that I can't be around people, and I gotta go somewhere. I'm on North Avenue, it's like, fuck it, I'm gonna go to the lake. And for those of you who ever took North Avenue all the way to Lake Michigan, at the end of North Avenue on Lake Michigan, there's a chess pavilion. There's a cement park, and carved in the cement park are chessboards, and people go there every summer and they play chess. And I always found it as a place of refuge. So I was like, all right, cool. So I'm gonna do that. If you don't believe me, you go right now. Shit, it's a nice day. I'll probably meet you there. So I was like, fuck it. I'm gonna fucking take a walk down North Avenue, right? And as I'm taking a walk down North Avenue, all these memories, I'm not sure if this happens to anybody else with acid, but all these memories just start to hit me. And I'm getting these flashbacks of like childhood, and these flashbacks of like Jose's story. My mom used to beat me, and these flashbacks of like being with my friends in the car and just hanging out. And as I'm walking, one memory hits me, and it hits me for a very long time, and I stay stuck with it. And as I'm walking, the memory of me losing my virginity and the whole situation that surrounded that really hit me. I mean, granted, it wasn't like Stefan's story where I burnt the house down, but it hit me, and I was just like, holy shit, because I remember the whole situation, and I'm not sure if this happened to anybody else, but I always had this idea that when I would lose my virginity, prior to losing my virginity, that it was going to be like a fairy tale. That I was going to make love on rose petals, and there was going to be some cherubs playing the harp and shit and swinging around me, and that's how I envision. I'm kind of, whatever. Maybe you might look at it as like a pussy-ass way of thinking of it, but in my mind, I'm like, man, that's how I want to lose my virginity. But the situation that surrounded it, as I'm taking this acid trip and walking around and thinking about this, was that she actually, and it wasn't nasty, but she was with, she had a boyfriend, and we really didn't care anything for each other. And I always thought that the person that I would lose my virginity to would be the person that I loved the most. And I didn't love her. And I remember I just had lust. I just wanted to, I'll be straight up, I just wanted to bang her. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to lose my virginity and release and explode. And so we went to my roommate's apartment. No, I'm sorry. Well, eventually it would be my roommate's apartment because I didn't have an apartment at the time. And we did that. And I always kept it in. But as I'm tripping on acid and I'm walking down North Avenue and I'm headed toward the lake, and at this point, the sun is starting to rise and I'm starting to smell the water, and I just start thinking about how cheated I felt, how robbed I felt of that fantasy, how wrong that it was. Now don't get me wrong, like doing it and actually having sex was awesome, but afterwards, I straight up felt like I was robbed. Like something was taken from me and can never be brought back to me. Maybe purity, maybe innocence, whatever you want to call it, whatever that was, it changed me. I was no longer this guy, the virgin, right? That title itself was stripped from me, and I was no longer pure. And the next girl that I would fall in love with and have sex with, I wouldn't be her first. Or she wouldn't be mine, I should say. Or both. And I'm tripping on acid, and I'm thinking about this, and by this time I get to the lake and I'm sitting on the chess pavilion, and it's funny because I'm at the chess pavilion, this game of like, mind control and moves and mathematics, and I'm looking over the fucking water and I'm seeing this red ball rise out of the lake, and I'm just thinking like, damn man, like I didn't want it to happen that way. That's not how I want it to happen. I wanted to be on rose petals. I wanted to be Sade in the background, I wanted it. I wanted something pure and something that was love, and what I had was just some dirty sex on my eventually roommate's bed that I had to fucking leave for a few quarters from the wash, and it was just, it for some reason it just didn't register, just didn't feel right. And I'm coming down from my acid trip a little bit, and I'm reflecting at the world, and the sun by this point has detached from the lake and it's rising on its own, and I'm fucking I light up the other half of the blunt, and I'm by myself, and I smoke up, and I just blow the smoke out, man, and I just reflect, and I'm just thinking like, damn, well fuck it, man. I'm still here. The sun is still rising. The water is still somewhat blue. This chess pavilion made out of stone is still here. And granted, things didn't happen the way I wanted it to happen. It happened. And it made me, like Jose, it made me who the man I am today. And the man, hopefully, I stay to be. Thank you.
Yeah.